Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I release a Legacy video every Friday. If you want to support the channel, you can do so by joining the Patreon. Here you can gain access to a continuously updated sideboard guide and primer on Legacy Doomsday, as well as being able to send private messages. You can join the Patreon by clicking the link in the video description or going to patreon.com/NebelShootMTG. Thanks so much. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hello everyone, Martin here, back with another Legacy video, back playing Doomsday. I'm basically taking what is like my current Eternal Weekend trajectory list. If Eternal Weekend was tomorrow, I would play this list. I am a little bit unsure about the sideboard, but I do generally like how it stands. This is the first time that I've been able to do like this creature pivot sideboard plan, but where it's not like 10 or 12 or 13 cards. The Brazen Borrowers also come in versus Tempo, but they are serving double duty as just general utility card, like general removal. I think the thing I kind of realized was that Barrowgoyf is kind of, well, it can be a removal spell in a way. I'm just gonna remove one of these Grafdigger's Cages, by the way, and replace it with a Nihil Spellbomb, because that was the thing I wanted to do, and I forgot to get around to it. I'll get to the Graveyard Hate. Yeah, but so the Brazen Borrowers come in, so that's 9 cards. If it's Dimir Reanimator, then we also bring in the 2 graveyard anti-graveyard slots. Yeah, so basically I swapped 1 Grafdigger's Cage for 1 Nihil Spellbomb. I think having 2 graveyard slots is fine. I think Grafdigger's Cage is probably overall a stronger card versus graveyard strategies. But Nihil Spellbomb being able to also work as an anti-endurance card is pretty sweet. But yeah, like versus Dimir Tempo and Dimir Reanimator, I board in these 7 plus 2 Brazen Borrowers, so 9 cards, and I board out the 4 personal tutors. I shave some cyclers, and I board out like Lines That Diamond and Consider, and that way you get to be like remain a Doomsday deck, but also have the creature package. I feel like this deck has really been performing quite well for me. Still waiting to trophy with it, but I have gotten like a couple of 4-1s and a couple of 3-2s, so I'm gonna jump into a league. Alright, on the play for round number 1, we get this somewhat keepable hand. Yeah, we're up against a Yorion deck. Okay, I'm gonna risk not getting like turn 1 destroyed here, so I'm gonna lead on Undercity Sewers. I think we want a 3rd land. Prismatic Vista, Basic Plains, and Aether Vial. Okay, so we're gonna go cast. I think I might cast Ponder first, because I wouldn't mind finding a Force of Will. Ooh, or a Dark Ritual. Yeah, Dark Ritual is pretty huge here. That means we no longer have to be scared of Wasteland in order to be able to cast Doomsday next turn. Let's cast Personal Tutor and float a Doomsday and pass. Tick up their Vial to 1. Guess I would mostly be concerned with something like Spirit of the Labyrinth or something. Not sure if that deck or that card is even in decks that play this kind of strategy. Thalia would also be kind of annoying. Stoneforge Mystic is mostly blank cardboard here. Okay, so a number of ways we can do this, but I think we're just going to include a land and cyclers here. So Thassa's Oracle, because I don't think there's a way they can beat that with like no mana and a Vial and 1 in game 1. So alright, so we'll do it like this. And we put Basic Island on the bottom and then the 3 cyclers on top. And we just start cycling here. Cycle the Street Wraith. Draw the second Edge of Autumn, float a land, or like float a mana, and cycle this. We'll cycle the last Street Wraith, draw the Thassa, fetcheroo, and that wins the game. Alright, cool. This looks like just pretty like run-of-the-mill classical Yorion Death and Taxes. They have fetch lands here. I'm not seeing a second color, but it's probably reasonable that they would have black for Orcish Bowmasters. There's not a lot we want here. We might want like Force of Negation because Deafening Silence is a way they can kind of annoy us. We probably can then cut a Daze on the draw here, and I guess maybe a Flusterstorm. Yeah. We can board in a bounce spell. Board out the second Flusterstorm. I don't know. If they're a Thoughtseize deck, then I'm going to bring back the Flusterstorms for game number 3 if there is a game number 3. I guess I will keep this. I'm not super excited. I'll probably Force of Will and Aether Vial if they have one on turn 1, because I think like Aether Vial is going to be like this game is not going to be over by turn 2. But looks like they don't have that, so they're passing. I might just sit on that for a sec. I would rather, like, this is Marsh Flats. Like, I don't want to have Doomsday Thoughtseize, basically. So, if I were to personal tutor now, the Doomsday would be in my hand next turn, then I would pass. So, I think it's just safer. They put Plow. They keep in Plow. Interesting. There's Marsh Flats. They probably have Orcish Bowmasters. I think I want to be able to Daze Orcish Bowmaster, so I'm not going to fetch. Like, with the fetch land activation, they could, like, activate their Bowmaster, or cast their Bowmasters, I mean. And I am going to double fetch here, because fetching a basic island means a wasteland is better against me. And our plan is going to be to just hard cast Doomsday. Plus we have a 4th land if they end up with... Alright, here's Doomsday. Yeah, looks like it's a Bowmasters. No, okay. It's just a Survey land. Okay, now I think I just really want to avoid a second Plow in the graveyard. That's funny. I really want to avoid Wasteland if I can. If I'm lucky. Oh, no. Okay. Surely they aren't going to let me get to my turn here. Maybe they have. Okay, yeah, no. Sure. Actually, hang on. So I'm gonna cycle Street Wraith here. I want to give them the chance to try and Bowmaster me right now. Then I can pick up the land they just Underground Sea, the just wastelanded. It's not a massive win for me because I end up with a card in my hand, with a lot of lands. But that is what happens. So their wasteland is gonna fizzle now. So that was pretty nice. So I draw the Bowma or the Doomsday. I think I'm gonna cast Consider probably. See if I can find a Dark Ritual. Brainstorm is pretty good. Okay. Right, okay. I guess I will cast Ponder here. Another Daze is not the worst, and I'll leave Brainstorm on top. Yeah, let's pass. Okay. Now I can no longer Daze an Orcish Bowmasters. Alright, let's see here. They didn't Wasteland me just now, which makes me think they probably don't have another Wasteland. Unless they just draw one. Because if they were just playing out a land to keep up 3 mana for Opposition Agent, they surely would have cast Opposition Agent. First one I fetched, and if not then with Doomsday on the stack. So I want Jace and Thassa, and then I want 2 Edge of Autumns, I think. Because if they do have Bowmasters here, I want the stuff that draws me cards, which doesn't also cost me 2 life. And then I want a fetch land, or rather the basic island to fetch out. Yeah, let's try this. So fetch land on the bottom, and then I think Thassa, Jace, double cycler, because we'll be fetching. I guess it doesn't matter. I was just thinking my library is going to get shuffled here. Okay, so I really would like to not get wastelanded again, please. Okay, no wasteland. Overlord of the Balemerc. Am I able to force of negation this? Is this a creature or an enchantment right now? Looks like it's a creature. Alright, so they can pick up the Bowmasters. I could daze that, but I could also, I think, just ignore it. Let's see. So, yeah, they pick up Bowmasters. Let's just see. I'll drop to 6. Fetch land takes me to 5. Etch of Autumn to 4. Etch of Autumn to 3. Jace activate, no card to draw, I win. So that's fine. Bowmasters is here. And then I'll have daze up on my own turn, which is pretty nice. Alright, so we float 3 mana. I don't know what could beat me here. They would, like, they can't get, like, we're getting in underneath Mindbreak Trap. Of course, these are famous last words, I'm sure. Take a couple of hits off of the Bowmasters. I guess if they surgical me right now, they would shuffle the deck and I might not draw the Jace. So yeah, I think I should have played out the fetch land ahead of time to give me a little better chance of not getting got by a surgical. Here's Jace with Daze back up. All right, quick and easy 2-0 over Death and Taxes. Let's move on to round number 2. All right, we are on the draw, or rather on the play for round number 2. Oof, oof, oof. I think what's this, Kahira? So this is Storm. I have not seen a Kahira companion in a hot minute. I think I keep this, but it's kind of ugly. So we're gonna surveil first to improve the street wraith here. I'd kind of like to find a force of will. Maybe I'll keep this Cabal Ritual because if I find a second land, then it's the same turn win. Like if the street wraith shows me a second land. Ooh, Snow-Covered Island. Well, I don't know what I'm up against. Okay, there's force of will. But I think I do want to brainstorm here. Get rid of some of these excess copies of Doomsday. Okay, that was not the worst. And then I'll ponder and most likely shuffle. Or is it a shuffle? I think it's actually not a shuffle. I think it is a keep bubble. How does Kahir work? It just says that your creatures have to be a certain creature type, right? Yeah, so this is typically played in decks that aren't playing any creatures as just an extra card. I'm not sure how good it is though. I don't know. I've never played with Kahira. Ponder, okay. Seagate Reborn, okay. Well, I hope they're not a Force of Will deck. Kind of concerns me that they're leaving open a mana here. But then I will have more Doomsdays coming, I guess. Not playing around Daze here, but they could have something like Spell Pierce or Flusterstorm. Yeah, something's happening. Fluster, okay. So this could be... It can't really be Omni, can it? Because Kahira won't allow for Atraxa. Unless, is Atraxa an elemental? I don't think so. Preordain. Alright. I don't think it's High Tide, right? Because they won't play... They need to play islands exclusively. It could be some kind of weird Omni Brew. It could... Yeah, well, I don't know. Could be a lot of things. They go top. Alright, I draw my third Doomsday. I think I'm going to cycle Street Wraith here. If I hit a fetch land, I am able to get 6 mana. Ooh, and I do. Okay. So, Cabal Ritual resolves. Doomsday's on the stack. Looks like something's happening. Flusterstorm here doesn't work. I can pay for that. So, if they go like a Brainstorm and then Fluster, then that's good. Then I have the second one, which which I guess would be the third one. They tapped, which makes me think they have a Flusterstorm. So I'm going to force here and then see if I'm correct. If I'm correct, they're going to fluster my Doomsday now. Didn't happen. Oh, nope. Yay, it happened. Now I just have to hope they don't have the third Flusterstorm or second Force of Will. And if they do, you know, we can't beat it. We can't beat everything. So I'm not going to pay. No, no. Okay, so I'm going to try and make this a Quantum Riddler pile. That's one way I can win next turn with Cavern of Souls, I think. So let's see. We'll have just enough mana. This also neatly plays around, what's it called? Plays around Flusterstorm. Alright, let's see. We draw Quantum Riddler, tap, draw Edge of Autumn, Cavern of Souls. 2 cards left, which is another Edge of Autumn and Thassa. So that second Edge of Autumn does need to be Thassa. Taking out the Edge of Autumn and like replacing it with something like a Daze here is worse if our opponent stops the Quantum Riddler. Like if they have a bounce spell in response to its trigger or something, because then it's going to be a slower time wading through the cards here. So I guess I could make Thassa kind of the top card I draw together with Edge of Autumn. So let's put Daze and Cavern as the bottom 2. And then we will... I'll put Thassa underneath Edge. That's sort of the same thing. And then put in Quantum Riddler. Alright, pass. Now, they are, I think, pretty obviously a combo deck. So if they're able... They might be able to combo us out here. I don't know also. Like, maybe they're playing Brain Freeze. Who knows? Well, Volcanic Island. What is this? So intriguing. Hoping this is just a stock up and not show and tell. Yeah. I mean, stock up is probably is bad enough. They can find Force of Will here, which is one of the things we're concerned about. What was pitched before? All right, let's see. Does Riddler resolve? This is the card to counter if you have a counter spell. Oh, they're fetching. Brainstorming. Okay. That makes sense. Well, at the very least, if they do counter it, we get a 2-for-1. And also now they're tapped out, so if I do get to continue to do what I want to do here, Daze is a nice card. Okay, it looks like we get to do what we came here to do. Riddler is in. We'll cycle Edge of Autumn, drawing the last 2 cards. Cavern of Souls, huh? Alright, we take the... Oh, win the match. They conceded? Hang on. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I guess I'll take it, but that was a little bit surprising. Alright, on to round number 3. Alright, on the play for round number 3. Hey guys, we did it. We drew close to the best hand in the deck is capable of. I guess it would be like if one of these Brainstorms or the Flusterstorm was a Daze, that would be better. But hey, not gonna complain about this. We're not gonna win right away, like if Doomsday resolves, because I'm not gonna build a pile that loses to a single Wasteland. Force of Will, pitching Stock Up, Force of Will, pitching Brainstorm. Do they have second Force? Okay, they don't. So I'm going to take Cavern of Souls, a fetch land, a basic island, Thassa, and I guess a Street Wraith. So we'll draw Scalding Tarn, we'll draw Street Wraith. If we don't get Wasteland, we can Brainstorm in between and speed it up by a turn. Yeah, let's do that. Stock Up was pitched, so this could be show and tell. So having access to Thassa early is pretty interesting. Yeah, let's try this. Alright, pass the turn, their turn, Planar Nexus and Force of Will. So this is like one of those, the One Ring, I've seen some like, I hear people calling them Blue Tron decks. Alright, let's cast Brainstorm while the Brainstorm casting's good. And we'll put back Thassa in Cavern of Souls. Glimmer Post. This is I guess this is Blue Tron, right? This is a little scary. They could have that's a deck that could conceivably play, what do you call it? Disruptor Flute, for which I have nothing here. They wouldn't have let me get my draw step, I don't think, if they had it. Alright. I'm gonna go Wizard, and then I'm just gonna cast it here. If I fetch, that's another chance they have. And this also lets us play around, like, if they have Spirit Guide plus Kozilek's Command here. Here's Thassa, and we win. Alright, cool. Alright, I think we want the Force of Negations, like, absolutely. Maybe not that much else. Maybe like a single Brazen Borrower. And maybe I will get rid of a Cycler and consider an LED. Alright, I mean, this hand's pretty good. They mulligan to 6. I'm gonna keep immediately. Basic Island, okay. I am going to cast a Ponder here. We could not do that and like be able to fluster, but we're currently able to double force here, so I think that's probably fine. I'll draw the extra force, that way I can choose which card I get to, like which blue card I get to keep if I need to double fluster, or double force I mean. Ottawa, okay. I think I'll actually just pass here. Stock up. Flusterstorm. Easy. And these Flusterstorms are so nice. I'm really enjoying playing with Flusterstorm again. And I'm going to Surveil and just hope to hit a black source of any kind. And then I'll put Doomsday on the stack with double force of will backup to my opponent's tapped out board and 4 cards in hand. Another Doomsday. Gonna put it into the graveyard. Slightly risky if opponent is playing Surgical Extraction, but we'll take the risk. Another Fluster. I think I need to ponder then. And yeah, I'll grab this Lotus Petal. Well, I'll put that on top of deck, and then I'll draw the days to again have double force plus Fluster, and then I'll put Doomsday on the stack next turn. Flusterstorm from the opponent here is how they stop this Doomsday from happening. But then we have another Doomsday coming. Okay, so that just happened. Cavern of Souls. Thassa. I think we also want Jace. I just noticed now that Ottawa also bounces a Planeswalker. That's a little bit scary. We have to be mindful of that. I still think this pile works. So I'm gonna put I am gonna put Jason Cavern on top of the deck. End of turn, Kozilek's Command. I think I fluster here. I could daze, and it wouldn't actually matter in terms of the amount of land drops I need. But if I do that, then yeah, maybe I should have done that. I was just thinking like I would rather hold up double force, and I don't want to pitch a Flusterstorm, but like it doesn't matter if it's like what gets pitched really, and we got the same goal. Okay, let's play Cavern. We'll name Wizard. It looks like they are passing. I think I will try and resolve Jace right now. Alright, Jace is in. I'm not going to target myself because then I just lose to Ottawa. I'm going to target them. And then I'll draw my Thassa, pass the turn with lots of interaction, and then the 2 cyclers that are on my, like, in my deck. Sink into Stupor. Okay, same thing. I could have, I suppose, I could have just forced that, but yeah. Here we go. We now, I think next turn, unless they tap so that Ottawa is not a thing, we have to just try and win with Thassa. If they have Consigned Memory, then we still have the backdoor Jace on the following turn. And they're just passing again, sure. Man, I love, love, love Jace Wheeler of Mysteries. I think it is such a great addition to the deck. I'm only bummed that it took me so long to try and play with it. All right, let's see. Do you have consign? Looks like maybe you do. No dress down. Okay, I think I'll try and force that. Pitching the Force of Negation. They fluster. Yeah, but this is where fluster is less amazing when you're using it to power through a single spell. So I'm not gonna pay. And then I think I have to pitch Daze. I don't think they can do anything with this 1 mana. And I don't want to just lose if I have the ability to Jace next turn. And they had a Force of Negation. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. So, oh, but hang on, this is all wrong. Yeah, can't believe I didn't realize that. Yeah, because I've made this mistake before myself when playing dress down. Yeah, this is not dress down is not going to win. Stop you from winning now because the Thassa trigger is on the stack. Sorry for anyone that was like pulling out their hair over me just not letting this happen. Yeah, now the Thassa trigger looks at whether or not there's a devotion sufficient, and there is, so I win the game. Yeah, you need to cast dress down before Thassa's Oracle enters the battlefield. All right, sweet. Off to round number 4. Once more on the play. Round number 4 here. Let's go. This would be a keeper. Yeah. Still, like, no way to get to 3 black right now, but lots of hope. Okay, opponent mulligan to 6, and here we go. Underground Sea Mirror, huh? Think I am going to brainstorm here. Daze me. All right. Daze you on the days, I think. If they force here, I'll be left with like 3 lands and an Edge of Autumn, so that would be really bad. And that is what's happening. Oh my god, what a soul read by the opponent. Yep. Alright. Well, hopefully that also cost them quite a bit here. And I would have drawn the pedal. Okay. Bloodstained Mire gets us an Undercity Sewers at least, but oh my god, that felt so bad. We don't know what the opponent is up to, but most likely Dimir Tembo or Dimir Reanimator. They put Thoughtseize into their graveyard. Yeah. Alright. They're keeping up Orcish Bowmaster's mana, so we'll see. How about a Doomsday? Oh yeah, maybe. Quantum Riddler. I'll take that. That's sort of a the dust is settling kind of card, but I do have a little bit like one too many cards right now. Yeah, I think I just pass here. The fact that they like milled over a Thoughtseize makes me concerned that they might have a second Thoughtseize here. Dark Ritual. Oh, this might be Doomsday. Might be a Doomsday Mirror, and it is. Okay, okay. All right, let's have a look at the deck here. Oh, and they've put Camera Souls in the Exile Zone here, which makes me worried that they just have they're going for it this turn. Looks like a maybe they were trying to win with Jace then. Yeah, there's the cavern. How many forces? So 1, 2, 3 Force of Will. So they have a force. All right, they do look to be passing the turn here. Ooh, how about that? How about that? And they have 1 card in hand. That's so lucky. So lucky for me. Okay. Let's cast Doomsday. We even get to play around the 1 days they might have. I guess if they have like a Flusterstorm, then I'm screwed. I mean, I obviously could try and win with Quantum Riddler, but that plays into them possibly having a daze. So I see 3 dazes in exile. So all right, and we'll put Brainstorm as the top card. We'll play out the Lotus Petal to play around daze, and they did have the daze. That's so sick. All right, I'll just not pay for daze. Same sort of ends up the same. All right, put back Riddler. Put back Consider. How about that for a turn of events? Cycle the Street Wraith and sack LED. All right, sweet. All right, sideboarding wise, we want the Force of Negations, the Shouldered. Probably not a lot else. Maybe I want Brazen Borrowers, just in case they have some creatures. Don't think we want Barrogoyfs. I'm gonna shave some Cyclers, shave a Personal Tutor, cut LED, and cut Consider. That's it. Yeah. Think this is a keeper. Leyline of Sanctity. Okay. Haven't seen that as a tech in a hot minute. I have one discard spell in the deck, so I'm okay with that. There is a Dark Ritual Doomsday. I could have cycled Street Wraith, I guess, but all right. So the opponent we ended up with the information that they do play the full playset of Days. They would be very unlikely, I think, to board any of those out on the play, if at all, but especially on the play. So just in a sec, when they show us their deck, we can at least get a clue as to. Okay, and here come the Exile. Let's see. In here, I don't see the Cavern of Souls, so that makes sense. They have 1, 2, 3. 3 Days is accounted for, and 1, 2, 3. 3 Force of Wills. So yeah, that's kind of rough. Looks like they're playing 2, maybe 3 Leyline of Sanctity. Their hand might be Leyline Force Days or something. All right. I guess this is going to be tough. I draw Thassa's Oracle. Okay. So I am going to shoot for the stars here. If they want a Daze, that's certainly going to cost them at least a turn. Oh, did you see that? They F6'd-ish. Okay, I'm going to cast Doomsday. Alright, so we can cycle Street Wraith into Force of Will and pitch Ponder, like if they Thoughtseize us or something. That might not be good enough. They might have the interaction by then. If their hand is like Cycler and one of either Cavern of Souls or Thassa, then we're pretty screwed. But if not, then we might have a chance here. Yeah, I think I'll hide Shieldred as my bottom card because I'm not going to get to that. So basically what's going to happen here is I'm going to build a pile to be Shoulder on the bottom and then Force of Will on top and then Cycler, Cavern. And then we will hopefully get a turn. Let's put, Shoulder on the bottom, then Cavern of Souls, then the Cyclers, and then Force of Will. And I guess I'll cycle. And like we can never beat discard like Thoughtseize plus Counterspell here because they take Thassa and then we have no win condition anymore. They're just passing. Okay. Well, let's hope that doesn't mean that they're playing Consign to Memory or like removal plus Counterspell. We'll see. And that does it. Wow. I feel like we kind of got away with one there. All right, cool. 4-0 and trophy match coming up. All right, we completed the achievement. We have completed 5 league games or league matches in a row on the play here. Not gonna complain. Yeah, this seems kind of fine. I'm gonna keep here and just float a fetch land. I think then we can Flusterstorm or we can Surveil. Opponent mulligans to 6. You love to see it. Let's float the Flooded Strand. It gives off fewer combo vibes than Bloodstained Mire, I think. Misty Rainforest, okay. Underground Sea, yes. Alright, cool. Flusterstorm, your time to shine. Yeah, I think we are going to fetch into Wasteland here. Thoughtseize is countered. We draw for turn, and it is... Ooh, it's a Dark Ritual. The darkest of rituals. Alright, I'm going to fetch here. Not sure how not fetching gets me into trouble, but if I like not fetch and I cast Personal Tutor, and then they can like if they have something that can kill my my fetch land, they get to do that for free. But I mean, I already have a land that can be wasted, so it's probably not really a thing. Swamp. Dothy Voidwalker. You can Dothy away, my friend. Where we're going, we don't need graveyards. Hopefully they don't have Force, blue, blue. They did have the Force. Do I want to... I think I'm going to daze here to not... No, actually, because dazing if they then have runner, fetch, like what runner, wastelands. Um, let's see here. I'll be at 17, then I'll be at 8. Then Dothy takes me down to 1. Or rather, it takes me down to 5, and then 2 street wraiths. It's a little bit risky here. If they also have bowmasters, then they got us, I think. But the thing is, if they had bowmasters, I think they would have cast it instead of, or kept it up instead of Dothy. So we're sort of banking on them not drawing into bowmasters. Thassa, and then all cyclers. Oops, all cyclers. Is that going to be a deck? Maybe that's what they call Living End in Modern. I don't know. Yeah, this works. As long as they don't bowmaster me, I am happy as a clam. Thassa on the bottom, then the 2 edges, and then the street wraiths. Right, pass turn. Here we go, moment of truth. Oh, what are they taking? This is so exciting. Oh, hang on. Oh, they're casting Doomsday. Yeah, that's kind of cool. That they have it has to be Doomsday. I've had this happen to me once before. That's funny. I guess then if they have a brainstorm, they can brainstorm into land plus bowmasters. But I think I'm not sure if they bowmasters me. I go to 7. I take my turn. Draw street wraith. I pass turn. I'm at 7. I go to 5. Draw street wraith. I go to... I was at 7. I was at 5. I go to 3. Draw edge. Edge into cavern, and I'm still not dead. But I think if that's what they're doing, they're going to be like stacking bowmasters. So like every turn I give them is another bowmaster. So I probably lose if they're able... I think if they're able to resolve bowmasters here, I probably lose. But we shall see. Kind of hope for them to... Or hope that they would go for like a Thoughtseize or something. Let's see. Let's see here. We get to see everything. I do see Entomb and Reanimate. And they are casting Brainstorm, and I see no Bowmasters here, so probably... How many Thoughtseizes? 1, 2, 3, 4 Thoughtseizes accounted for. Yeah, oh, bummer. This only really makes sense if it's Bowmasters, I think. I go to 6. And then, like, each Street Wraith is 3 damage, so... oh, it's Wasteland! By all means, my friend, Wasteland away. Yeah, okay, sweet, so we get to win. Cycle, cycle, cycle. Cycle Edge of Autumn. Cavern naming Merfolk. Cycle that. And that should do it. There we go. Alright, sideboarding wise, we are going to take, I think I touched on this into the deck tech. So we want the Brazen Borrowers and then these 7 black cards. But then we also want the 2 anti-graveyard stuff. And let's see, we'll cut the 4 personal tutor. And we'll cut LED. And consider. And we'll cut 3 cyclers, go down to 2. And then like this would be the sideboarding with like if I was not also bringing the anti-graveyard stuff. I think maybe I'll cut Cabal Ritual and 1 daze on draw here. Yeah. I guess I will keep this hand. It fetches us the basics. We have like double force if they go hammy for Entomb or Animate here on early turns, and then we'll see where we go. Alright. Bloodstained Mire, pass. Dark Ritual. I don't hate that. I think I'm actually going to not ponder here. I don't want to have my Force of Will dazed if they go for Entomb here. Okay. That didn't happen. But also, like, they might untap and flash in or cast Bowmasters, and I think them milling over the Bowmasters means they have a Reanimate or they have another Bowmasters. Looks like Reanimate. I think I'm gonna force here, pitching a Ponder. I mean, a Resolve Bowmasters is not terrible, but with my plan being to cantrip, it is a little bit of a problem. Not fetching Surveil because I want to be able to cast Ponder here. Flusterstorm is nice. Let's get basic island, cast Ponder. Obviously, if I have to fluster now, then it's not the greatest having fetched the basic island. Gosh, how do I want to do this? I think I want to draw Doomsday and then cast it next turn with fluster and force backup, and then worry about like winning with Jace later. Another Bowmasters, huh? That Shieldred is also a little bit tempting. I think I force this, pitching the Oracle, and then try and resolve the Doomsday. They force back, and then I fluster. But then it's a little bit uncomfortable. No LED. I have to get to 4 mana to resolve Jace Boy, and also not having be murdered by whatever. Also, they can daze my Force of Will here. This fluster opens me up to daze, and then it's all on their Force of Will. Well, we'll see. Yeah, okay. So, looks like they didn't have the daze. Let's just hope for no wastelands. Drawing a land here is not the worst for sure. Yeah, let's just go for it. They could have Force of Negation here. That didn't work last turn. So we need Jace. We need Underground Sea. They either missed the daze line or they didn't have daze. That's a good question. Let's just see here. If I draw Quantum Riddler and cast it, warp it in, I draw Underground Sea and Lotus Petal, or maybe just double Lotus Petal. That's 5. This is 6. Maybe this is 1 too many. And then guess I'll try this with a Cycler instead. So let's see. We draw Quantum Riddler. That draws us Lotus Petal and land. Oh, hang on. That was not 5. Because my fetch land is... Yeah. So this is 4. This is 5. Yeah, this is... No. No. What am I saying? What am I even saying? I'm being dumb here. Don't need the edge. Bring back the second petal, I guess. So we draw Quantum Riddler. We cast that. We draw both petals, and then Jace. Oh, this is tricky. I really don't want to pass twice though. So basically, Quantum Riddler here just replaces the 2 mana it costs to cast it. Maybe that's not too exciting. It does rip us through the pile though a bit faster. Yeah, I'm gonna try this. I'm not super happy with this pile, but fetch land on the bottom. Oops. Jace, then Riddler. Or well, I'm I'm mumbling here. All right, pass. Reanimate Bowmaster, sure. Where does that leave us? I go to 7. I go to 6 with the Misty. I go to 4. So I can't cast Riddler here, basically. That's a problem. So basically I'm going to have to what? I'm going to have to fetch Underground Sea, hope that the top of my deck is then Jace or Petal. I think that's what I have to do here. Yeah, I am just dead if I... Or am I? What if I go... if I go... Play the Riddler, draw 2, that takes me to 5, and then they hit me down to 1. Then I draw Jace. My hand was then Petal. If they don't wasteland me, then they have to not have Daze, but I think maybe that's more reliable. Yeah. Either way, this is a somewhat fragile here, but we'll have to try. All right, let's riddle away. We draw 2. I have to play these out. Like, if they Thoughtseize me and I lose because I got a Petal Thoughtseize, that's just silly. All right, pass. So what would they need? Like, what's in their hand that don't beat me here that they would be sitting on? It's obviously not more lands because they didn't make their land drop. Another Bowmaster kills me outright. Like Thoughtseize, they didn't have a chance to Thoughtseize last turn. Consign to Memory. Yeah, let's try this. This is for all the marbles. Well, not really. There's a game 3 if we lose here, but within the confines of this game, this is for all the marbles. Daze is live because I can't fetch. Jace is in. I guess Brazen Borrower kills me here. Oh, how about that, folks? Yes, yes. Love the trophy. Love the trophy. This is sweet. All right, let's recap here. Well, we did get a bit lucky. Like our round 2 opponent conceded the match after losing game 1. But other than that, this felt pretty legit. I really liked that we also got to get paired up against the Dimir Reanimator in the last round. We didn't really get to showcase the creatures, but you know, I'll take it. I think this deck is just taking shape in a really nice way. We didn't get a chance to showcase the Emrakul Sheldog Isle, which is something I put in because I began facing, like in the recent weeks, I've begun facing more like Beanstalk decks with like 4 or 5 color Beanstalk decks with Pyroblasts and Endurance and a lot of different stuff that kind of, like, I was playing Bug a lot, and even with Veil of Summer and Carpet, I kind of kept not winning as much as I felt like I should versus those types of decks, because after I almost always end up resolving Doomsday, and then I had a hard time even with Veil and even like Mysterized Village. I had a hard time like beating like Dress Down, Endurance, Pyroblast, Consign to Memory. And obviously, like, Emrakul is impacted partly by Consign to Memory, but it's not, like, it's still, like, a legit thing to be casting Emrakul. Also, just love having Emrakul whenever I get paired against Painter, which admittedly isn't that often. All right, thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you think about the list, the format at large right now. What are you playing for Eternal Weekend or considering? Like, comment, subscribe. Check out the Patreon if you want like this access to sideboard guide, primer coming up, and yeah, I'll be back with some more Legacy. Bye bye.